Let's talk about a paradox that many of the most successful commercial real estate brokers know all too well. You're at the top of your game, producing at an elite level, but you're probably also the most exhausted person in your firm. Your own success has created a brand new problem. You are the bottleneck. The very engine that drives the business has become its single point of failure. In this explainer, we're not just going to talk about the problem, we're going to architect the solution.
You might think that high GCI is a sign of success, but really it's a symptom of a deep systemic failure. We call it the hero broker model, where one person drives pretty much all the revenue. And let me tell you, that model doesn't create a durable business asset, it creates a high-paying job you can't quit. So the problem isn't your work ethic, it's the entire operating system you're running on.
And this brings us to a really important concept, a hidden cost we call the fragility tax. Think about it. Every time you have to personally jump in on a minor task or a deal hits a snag simply because you're unavailable, your business pays this tax. It's this invisible liability, this cost of being the only one who can truly deliver. And this tax makes your entire enterprise fundamentally unstable.
So the solution isn't to just work harder. It's not about more effort. It's about a strategic pivot in your identity. To escape that golden cage, you absolutely have to stop seeing yourself as the star player and start seeing yourself as the architect of a team that can win without you on the field for every single play. This is a huge shift from laborer to architect.
So how do you make this identity shift? Well, we use a framework called the three-hat logic. You've got three hats you can wear. As the producer, you do the work. And this is where most brokers live and breathe. But to build a real platform, you have to intentionally put on the owner hat to build systems and financial health, and the leader hat to develop your people and set non-negotiable standards. Your real job is to systematically shift your time and energy away from that producer role.
In this chart right here, this shows the reality for most leaders in this exact situation. We're talking 90%, sometimes more, of their time spent wearing that producer hat. And the owner and leader functions, which, by the way, are the only two that build long-term sellable enterprise value, they're basically starved for attention. With this kind of allocation, you don't really have a team. You have helpers who are just facilitating your personal burnout.
So how do you diagnose your own situation? It's simple. You conduct a hat audit. For the next 48 hours, I want you to log every single thing you do. Then you're going to tag each task. Was it producer work, owner work, or leader work? The final percentage is going to give you a brutally honest look at whether you're building a real asset or just servicing a job you own. This is your operational baseline.
Okay, so once you have the data, the very first tangible step is to make your intention public. You created written declaration, a role transition statement, and the purpose of this document is twofold. It creates accountability for you and total clarity for your team. You're declaring your intention to shift your time and focus, and you're signaling that the firm's operating model is officially changing.
But it's absolutely critical to understand this. Just identifying the fragility tax or learning the three-hat logic is not enough. In this system, knowledge is just the entry ticket. It gets you in the door, but it is not the standard for success. You can't just think your way into a new business model. And you know what? Even creating that written declaration, your role transition statement, that isn't the final measure either. Implementation is only the second gate. It proves you can create the tool, sure, but having a blueprint doesn't mean the building is finished. The ultimate proof lies in what happens next.
The final, non-negotiable standard is the performance gate. This is the only proof that matters. It's not about what you know or what you write down. It's about observable, black and white evidence that your team and your systems can perform critical functions without your direct, manual labor. Success is now measured by your strategic absence, not your heroic presence.
And the test to pass this first performance gate, it's not a single event. The proof has to be sustained, because consistency is the only thing that really validates that the change has stuck. The standard here is measured over 14 consecutive days. So what is the specific observable evidence required to prove this identity shift has actually happened? First, you have to identify two specific tasks that live squarely in that producer bucket and provide documented proof they have been permanently removed from your calendar. Second, you need confirmed evidence that for 14 straight days, the team or the system executed those tasks without you stepping in. That's it. No ambiguity, just proof of performance.
Which brings us to the final and maybe most confronting question. I want you to look at your operation today. Is it a durable asset that generates value independent of your daily effort? Or is it a high-paying, high-stress job that you can never, ever leave? The answer is determined not by what you do, but by what your team can do without you.